Kia ora everybody, welcome or welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to do, I don't often do tutorials, but I guess this is classified as a tutorial. Basically, MERMAY's coming up. I love MERMAY. It is one of, if not my favorite community prompt. I love water, I love sea friends, I love water friends, and I love MERMAY because it just deals with some of my favorite colouring topics, which means it's also one of my most productive months normally. And the reason why it's productive is I like to play around and do different techniques. And one of the things I hear about MERMAY is a lot of people, not everybody obviously, let's not generalize, but I do hear often that people enjoy colouring the topic of mermaids, but they don't enjoy water, which makes sense. Water's difficult to colour. Water's a lot of empty space. So I thought I would do a quick video showing you one of my favorite ways to fill out backgrounds for water. Now this doesn't actually have to be for just water. I use this background technique all the time, and this colouring technique all the time, and that is using watercolors in the background. And I'm going to show you with a couple of different palettes that I use of how I do backgrounds. So I've got RJ Hampson Tiny Tales in front of me, volume 1 and volume 2. Volume 2 in particular does actually have a whole section of water friends, which is quite good. Lots of little doodles. So I just thought this would be a good one to show you the technique, which is this here. So my go-to is to just throw some watercolors in the background or Gansai Tambi. Once it is dry, come in with different media on top and work on top. And I have so many different examples that I can show you of this, not just where it's water. It's a very great way to fill out a background quickly as well. You can see I've got some in process where I've done the exact same thing. And this is just in this book. I've got it across multiple other books, and at the end of this video I will pull out a bunch of examples for you all to have a look at to show you different ways that we can approach this. But I thought I would just quickly show you how I would approach doing this on a fresh new page. So as I said, I'm going to do this with two different particular palettes. I'm going to do this with Gansai Tambi Granulating Watercolour, and then I'm going to do it with just a regular watercolour, my Reeves watercolour. So we'll start with the Gansai Tambi and our choice of page, which is just going to be this one. It's the next one in the order. Yes, this is Amazon paper. Yes, I'm about to go into Amazon paper with water. Yes, it's going to get crinkly. It is the side effect of Amazon paper. I don't mind it. I don't mind that it's like this. You can see this one's dried pretty flat. I will say, once we're going to saturate this paper, once we've saturated it, we do not touch it till it's dry. We leave it be. We put it somewhere flat, somewhere safe, and we just leave it be. Because when it is wet, it is incredibly damaged, and that is how incredibly weak, and that is how I have damaged other pages as well. So yeah, also I'm just saying I should have painted my nails. Sorry. Oh well. I picked up this new nail polish color, and it's very mermaid. I got it because it reminded me of Mermaid Towers, and everyone's like, oh, it looks like mermaid. And it's called a sure thing, so we're all in the right vibes. Anyway, so we're going to start with this one here with these random little fishies. I have a spritz bottle here of just plain bog standard water. I also have my Gansai Tambi palettes, which you can see just how much I use these palettes. They are very well used at this point. And so what I will do is I will choose 1 to 3 of them, depending what I'm in the mood for. This one's a little wet already, so maybe we'll use that. We've got some extra Aurora Pink, so maybe we'll work with these two and we'll just do some pinky purple blend. That sounds fun. So just plonk some extra water in there. Let that be. And then the other thing that I like to add is iridescent. Now, my favorite iridescent watercolor palette, I have actually completely used up, which I'm so sad about. But I have this little cheapie that I got off AliExpress. I also have these ones that I got at a coin store. That's shiny, sparkly, metallic, cheap watercolors. They do the job for what we're about to do. And then I have a couple of big soft brushes. Size really doesn't matter here too much. So I've just got a couple of brushes, and I've also got a water dropper that you saw me use before. That's not necessary. It just makes it easier for me to pick up water and drop it in. Even a spritz bottle is not necessary. Again, we're playing here. You cannot control the watercolor. The watercolor is going to do its thing. We're just here for the ride. We're here to start it off, but we're not here to control it. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm going to, no. We're just going to let things be. So I start with my spritz bottle. Absolute chaos here. And I just spritz a bunch onto the page. I make sure I need the spritzer facing the right way so we actually get it. Cool. So I actually want quite a bit on the page. We want almost like pooling water. And then I start with a color. So we'll start with this one. This is the Aurora Violet. And I just start dotting it in. Oh, look, there's a hair on my brush. Can we pick that up? That'd be nice if we could pick it up. We're gonna spread out a bit further than I was intending. That's fine. You know what? Maybe that hair's not coming off till it's dry. That's fine. It is what it is. So I am going to try and cover up the majority of our creatures, but you can see I'm just kind of splotting it on. Then I'm going to go to the Aurora Pink. Oh, we came in a bit heavy with that one. So I'm going to add some extra water. I've just got my water beside me, and I'm just going to use that to dampen on top. That'll help the colours bleed together. We want it to bleed together. We want it to do its thing. I'm not trying any particular shape. I just want to make sure everything's covered. If these little gaps, it's fine, because we're going to let it do its thing and bleed out. We can add more water on top. Again, we're just letting it bleed. We're letting it pool. I know it looks scary. Again, at this point, the paper is very weak. Do not use your hands to straighten the page. Just let it be. If it wrinkles, if it creases, that's what we're going to roll with. All right, I think that's enough color on the page. Now, I like splatter and mess. If you haven't gathered already by this page, that's just me tipping off the extra water off my brush. So now I'm going to splatter some color on top. So sometimes I try to find like a coordinating color, like maybe a purple. Sometimes I do a contrast color. I'm kind of feeling a little bit of blue. I think that'll be pretty, because our granulating is going to granulate to pink, purple, another pink, and green. So I think a little bit of blue could be quite pretty in here. And then I just dot some of the shimmer color in here. So this is going to be a little, it's going to dry shimmery. And sometimes I just pick up some of this excess pooling color and just add more splatter around. Again, I just play. I just go, what more do I want? Just not trying to control it, not trying to put it anywhere. We're just playing around, just dotting on the page, making a mess like a child playing in mud, splashing in a pool. And that's it. That is exactly my background. How long did that take? Right? So now I will find somewhere very, very safe to keep this, so I will not knock this around. Now, the other one I'm going to show you is my watercolors. I have some very cheap watercolors. These ones are just white label Kmart. And then under here, I have some very old Winsor Newton Cotmans. So you can see the pan starting. I kind of want to work with the pans today, so I'm going to use the Cotmans. Just move those ones. But we'll also do a page in volume 1 of Tiny Tales. to show that you can do this with regular watercolors. And it doesn't even need to be expensive watercolors, y'all. Page. We're not going to think. We're just going to go, boom, we're doing this page. So it's not necessarily an underwater page, but I think it'll be quite cool. It's snaily wheelies. I do love snails. Snails are cool. Oh, there's a whole section of snails in here. Nice. That would make sense. I think RJ Hampson seems to like snails too. Alright, so same idea. And yeah, when this dries, the reason why I like that little iridescent is you do get, I'm not going to see it so much on there, you might see it on there, that little bit of shimmer, and it just adds a fun little colour to it. So this one, we're not going to use granulating watercolour, which does do some of the fun colour blends for us. I will say granulating watercolour makes it a little easier, but of course that means you've got to have the granulating watercolour. So I just spritzed my regular watercolours. I also need to fill this up a bit. Oh, I've actually done, I tend to, when I do this, do a lot of backgrounds at once. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different pages on the go right now with the backgrounds. I do a background day basically, and I just do a ton of backgrounds, and then I leave it all to dry, and then I come in with different ideas and work on top, which again I'll show you a little bit later on how quick it is to work on top. You could technically mask around and stuff like that too. I like to work on top. I like to leave the texture of the water coming through, especially for water friends, because I feel like it helps it read as if you're underwater. So I tend to leave it watery. That's just my choice though. Alright, I'm going to start with some yellow because I don't have a yellow in the Gansai Tambi. So we're going to start with some yellow. So I did the exact same thing again. I started off with some water spritzed on the page. If I find it's getting too dry, I'm going to add in more. Oh, that might help if I'm in frame, eh? I hope the last one was in frame. My gosh. I'm doing this very spur of the moment, so we'll find out. So I'm just kind of rolling and dabbing my brush into place. I'll do some orange. Some more of that yellow. Get some more water on the brush. So we want very wet paint. We want movement. So you can re-spritz over to help it bleed. Let's do some brown. I don't often do brown, but I feel like brown will go quite well with snaily whaleys. Alright, so now there is granulating medium that you can buy. I need to get my hands on some. I can't tell you anything about it, but I would be interested to try this with granulating medium to see, does it move the colors more? Does it, like, if you use a single color on its own, no, it's meant to operate a certain way, but if I'm doing something like this where I'm mixing 3 different colors, would it granulate like regular granulating watercolors? I also have heard the White Night granulating watercolors are quite neat as well. Again, I don't have any of them and I have no experience using them, so I cannot comment. So again, I'm just tapping off the extra off my brush here, and I think we're going to do a little spritz around there where it's a bit heavy. So with this one, because it's not as inclined to move, I do kind of just wiggle some of that excess watercolor around. Just let it move and run. Again, we're not trying to control here. We're just letting it do its thing. It'll be what it'll be. And then, because it's me, I like shimmer. And I am going to go for some gold. Because, you know, I feel like this needs some gold. Let's splatter in some gold. So I like to let the shimmer go into the background as well as splotch on its own. You can also add in salt. Salt is a really fun effect to do with this because the salt draws the water up, but it can't draw the pigment up. So you can get some really cool effects with salt and watercolor. So another great way to fill out the background. Cool. There we go. So there's our second background, and we've done that in what, 10 minutes? 2 backgrounds done. So again, we find somewhere very safe for that to dry, where it's out of the way. Once they're dry, I will come back and I'll show you how I colour them in, some different approaches. I can show you some of the other pages and different techniques I do on it. But yeah, that's my really quick and easy go-to water background for MERMAY. Super quick. A little while later, everything is dry and making beautiful crunchy sounds because Amazon paper. But yes, we are now dry. So you can see this one is the Gansai Tambi, and it has granulated and produced a bunch of different colours in there, which I think is really fun. And then this is our watercolour version, where our colours have all bled together, and you can see a little bit of that shimmery reflect from the gold that we also put in there. It's picking up a little bit more in real life because I haven't got the brightest light today. But yeah, now you're probably like, well, how do we colour this in, Amy? Because you didn't mask it off. You didn't, like, it's everywhere. How do you colour in the image? That's, I think, the fun of this technique is, yes, you could use masking fluid. I genuinely can't be bothered. I have so many problems where it rips off the paper, and I don't like the way it smells. I don't like the way it ruins my brushes. I have it. I've tried it multiple times. I've had to chuck out multiple bottles because they break down over the years, and yeah, I just realized at the end of the day that if I have to sit there and mask something off, I'm not going to do it. So instead, I started doing this technique. And yeah, now when it comes to the colouring of the foreground items, the world is your oyster, and legit, I will be pulling out examples to show you. You can work with polys and like more translucent pencils, oil pencils, or pencils that tend to be a bit more sheer, like polys. I've got some color examples, but then you can also work with a more opaque pencil like Pablo's or Prismacolors, and they produce different effects. I've also done paint pens and gel pens and water-based markers and even alcohol markers on top. So I'll pull out examples to show you all of those different options after we've done a little bit. Alright, so we're going to start with the volume 2, which is our fishies, and I'm just going to colour this one for you. Now, I'm going to do this one in polychromos, and the reason why is the polys are a little bit more translucent, and I like to use a more translucent medium if it's something like fishies that are underwater, because that translucency shows a bit more of the background, and it feels like then that they are underwater. So let's do a little bit of these two. Maybe a little bit of you as well. Just kind of making it up here. I mean, that's what we do all the time, isn't it? Absolutely gorgeous pages, though. I'm so excited to show you all the examples. Again, it's such a go-to for me. So right now I have Red Violet 194 in polys. I'm just going to use this in our darker area. I'm just going to do like a orangey fish here. Just shade in a couple of those scales. Let's add a little bit along here. Audrey makes it real easy for us because there's quite a few different little sketch lines and things that can kind of indicate some shadows, so it doesn't take too long. And then I've got Cadmium Red 117, which is like a bright orangey red. So yeah, I'm not even like, I'm just doing some quick colouring here. I'm not even being too pedantic, but you can see we've still got some of that texture coming through on our pencils here. So our pencil over here is a lot more cooler because it's picking up that bluer there. We've got a little bit more detail coming through, but it still covers up enough that it this is 106 light chrome yellow. Still covers up enough that it feels like, you know, you can see the creature, right? Oh, there's that strand of cat hair that got caught in the paint. Gone now. It's going to work over the top. The great thing about doing this background too is our lighter colors pop a lot more because we've got something dark to work on top of. So we're not working on white, so the yellow pops a lot more. And you can also use white, my tiny white, but you can use white to pull out like eyes. I should really put this in an extender, but you can see how quick this is. You can just do a couple of little bits and pieces. Yeah, I'll grab what size here your work. I've just got a fine liner here. Just go back over that little eye. Add in a shiny. You can add in a couple of highlights if you want. This is where you can pull out like glitter gel pens, glitter, because you all know I love my glitter. Metallics, like, you know, finish it off any way you like, but very quickly it comes together. I'm just going to remove that one on the lips. I don't like that one so much. And fade that one out a bit. It's a bit intense. But yeah. And so I feel like because you get the texture showing through just a little bit, so you might be able to see that there's a little bit of speckling from the Gansai Tambi here. It makes the creature feel like it's more underwater, and I've got a better example to show you of that specifically. But yeah, that's why I like to use a little bit more of a translucent pencil, like a Polychromos, for shading when it's a water-based creature. But you don't have to. I mean, again, this is do it any way you want. So you did want to go more opaque though. You did want to cover up a bit more of the background. You're like, I don't want to see that texture for it. Well, that is where my friends Polychromos, Pablos, those more waxy, creamy based pencils are a great option. So to keep with our gold theme, I'm gonna do this middle one. So I've got the black Prisma 135. I'm just going to start by shading in a couple of shadows, and then I actually have the metallic gold 950. I'm just going to color that in there. And then just a white. And we can burnish this all together and it will help mask out some of that background. Again, I will have a bigger example to show you as well. What colour snail shall we do? How about a green? I feel like green could be quite good here. Although we are going to do green grass. Meh. Green. No thoughts. Just do. That is how my process is sometimes. It's just, yeah, this. So again, I'm just kind of following these little lines that RJ has put in there for us. Just absolutely gorgeous. I love these tiny tail books. I actually really want to get my hands on number 3. The other pages that I've done in here, I've done like this as well. So I'm almost like, I could do a whole book in just this way. Just deciding on colors. Actually, no, we'll keep with this one. I might introduce a bit of a darker brown and just extend this one out. I am using 988 marine green, by the way. Don't think I said that. I'm just going to extend out those lines to create the illusion of shell texture. And then rather than trying to find another green, I'm going to grab brown. We've got, well, French grey. 1076, so this must be 90%. Still works though. I love French grey as a colour. It's a really lovely colour. Actually, that might work for our snail colour too. And so I'm just using that on some of our darkest areas to really, really deepen up the shadow. And then I have, what is this? Chartreuse. Probably pronouncing it wrong. 989. Wow. I word good. I'm just going right over the top of all of that. And so you can see here how we had that texture there, and we're covering up a lot of it. Now, we're not fully covering it up. To do that, you'll have to use something like paint pens, or like acrylic paint, which again, I have examples of that to show you as well. I do this technique a lot. But yeah, just good old Prisma's in there. Creamy does come together. We need a little bit of that white again, and just get that in a couple of highlight areas. It's not going to be the most white there. Probably better to do actual Posca highlights probably. Use a little bit of black. Hello, Shadow the cat. I hear you. You're not coming up though. We're busy creating. And because this is a quick tutorial, I would spend longer dealing with him than this video. So that's our black with a little bit of our French grey. What do we got here? Warm grey, 20%. That'll do. Just whatever we pull out. Oh, here comes a cat. Apologies if you get purring into a microphone or a cat in the way. He's moving my microphone. He's probably going to try and get that paint water. I might have to kick him off the desk. Don't you knock over the paints, you chaos cat. And he knocked over the paints. I colour in chaos, but my cat also colours in chaos, as you can see. Alright, let me get rid of this little guy, and then we'll practically be done anyway. Alright, don't know how long he'll last. He's sitting on me. He's getting scratches, so he might be okay. Alright, I've got the white, just doing again some little highlights. We're going to go over the eyes, which the white Prisma, you can see how much that's going to pop purely on the page. Let's do our little daisy this as well. I'm just going to get that marine green. I'm working with, I've only got one hand because I got a cat right here. So he's drooling all over me. It is charming. I'm just going to use that marine green. I'm going to fade it out slightly. Just do the little stems. And can I open it one-handed? Yes. Bring back our little pupils. Gonna close the hand one-handed. Got it. Couple white highlights. Sorry, I got a pen cap in my mouth because one-handed. And this is where we'll do some snail shell highlights. There we go. I haven't done the center of the flower, but that's because I will probably pull out a glittery gold or something, but I can't do that with a cat in my hands right now. Ooh, I've just put him on the floor. Don't go on my... Good. We have colouring pages drying everywhere, because again, when I do this, I work on multiple at once, so I have about 9 pages all over the floor, and they're at various stages of wet. So yeah, you could see how quickly I colour that in. It's pretty straightforward. For me, I love it. I think it's a really fun little technique. I think it's really effective, and it's a great thing to do for a background coming up to both for underwater, but also just in general as a general background idea. But I especially love it for water. But sorry, I'm just putting stuff away as I go because that's smart. But yeah, just to sort of show you some finished examples, let me go get a pile of books and I'll show you some different ideas for how you can finish it and why I love this technique so much. Okay, I have my pile, so I'll just move these two to the side. And so the first, I'll show you Shimmer translucenty pencils, so mixture of polys and pablos. And I have a few examples. This is my go-to. Honestly, I have so many more I could have shown you. I've grabbed the wrong folder. 2 seconds. The other light purple folder. So this is Animal Adventures by Nicole Gustafson, also known as Nemo Sprout. And I've done... Where's my pufferfish? There we go. So this one is watercolor, iridescent watercolor, and then polychromos pencils. And this is what I'm talking about the texture on top coming through and making it feel like the creature is underwater because you're seeing that reflective texture through it. Also, there's no rules that says your water has to be blue. Now, I have done some others, but I don't think the other ones are water creatures. So it was more the pufferfish in particular I wanted to show you of this one. Because again, I do use this technique not just for underwater, but I do think it's a great way to do water backgrounds. I'm going to put that away afterwards. So I've got Amazon by Paula Brune. Very simple example. I just did the introduction page. This is Gansai Tambi, iridescent watercolor, and then polychromos. And even though this is a Shimmer pencil, it did actually, I did work it enough because this is light enough that you can't really see too much through it. But I love this example. I think it's also a really great way to fill out an introduction page. Like, boom. Again, didn't take me long either. And then this one's Tiny Magical Illustrations by Raider Prints. So again here, this one I wasn't even trying to cover up the creatures. I just coloured in the shadows and the highlights. It was just a bit of an experiment, but you can see how it kind of does look like all these guys are under the water. And then the last one I can show you that uses polys is actually a sneak peek for this month's completed pages. But that same idea, the background has been all coloured in the Gansai Tambi. Ignore the crystals because that part was technically pebbles, but yeah, polys for all the wood texture because I wanted to keep that texture from the background. So I used polychromos because they're slightly more transparent to shade through to get that texture that comes from the granulating water background. So yeah, that's examples of some polychromos or more sheer pencils. And then I also have one in Colors, which is in World of Wonder by Joanna Basford. And I've done a shark page in here with the metallic color pencils. So again, we've got a bit of texture coming through because they are slightly sheerer. They're supposedly metallic. You can't really tell, but it's okay. I like the page still. And then I use a little bit of super gold marker and paint pens on top as well. But yeah, you can see how that background just fills it out so quickly. And then on the flip side of that is the more opaque pencils like Prismacolor and Pablos. So I have a few examples. So, Mini Mania. Now, this is also a example of why you do not adjust the paper. Because when it is wet, it can fall out. And so I had to, I'm still working on that one underneath that got impromptu based because this page fell out. But I do love how this one came together. This one is all Pablos. So you can see possibly the difference of how that's Pablo, that's Prisma. Why do all pencils begin with P? You might be able to see the sheer difference that's still versus the opacity of that. I love using white and the lighter colors with this background because they just pop so much more and they're so much richer. Like, yes, there's a little bit of paint pen on the tops of the mushrooms, but that white is the Pablo white. Like, it just pops so much more. So yeah, that is in Mini Mania Volume 2. You can see we've got another RJ page, Oceans. I love this book. And you'll see how much the paper does shrink, but that's a part of it. So this one is watercolors and iridescent watercolors. And then I've worked on top with Pablos and a little bit of paint pens and some glitter gel paint because glitter. Yeah. So I didn't fully burnish this one, so there is still a little bit of opacity, but it's still more opaque than Polly's. And again, it's just working with that white, those lighter colours that pop so well. But yeah, that was another one where I filled out that background quite quickly. And then in here, this is Flower Fairies colouring book. This has got says it's by Frederick Wayne, but they own the rights to the work. The work is actually Cecily Mary Barker. These are very old fairy designs, and I have this one, which this one I did in Prisma and I did burnish. So this one does actually really mask over the background, and in particular in her skin. You can see it. Now the yellow wasn't the most opaque, so there's still a bit of texture coming through on the yellow. But the rest of it's pretty blocked out. Again, you'll still get a little bit of texture, but yeah, I know. I really enjoy it. I think it's a great way to fill out a background. And once you start playing, you can get really confident with it. You can do really fun things like in Frozen Fantasy by Fabiana Antanasio. This is another sneak peek for completed pages this month, although it is on my Instagram. You can do things like ice, which is another form of water, just frozen. But that is all Gansai Tambi in the background with white Prisma and white Pablo worked on top to turn it, to make all the icicles. And that's all because I use the Gansai Tambi Granulating Watercolours in the background to make all those fun colours of ice. So yeah, of course you don't just have to use pencils as well. Because these other things that I've used before on top of them as well. So in Grains of Gold by Hannah Carlson, I have only done one page in here. I think I just went past it. Sorry, I should have pre-marked them, but I didn't. Oh, calm your hands. And so this one, I've just used gel pens, which of course does actually opaque out the background, so that's a really great way to just fill it out. This one, I don't even know if I chucked any iridescence in there. I think I just literally slapped on some Gansai Tambi, so yeah, pretty straightforward. Then in Mermaid City by Kay Camero, I've used water-based markers on top, so just Crayola Super Tips. Now, when you are working with a water-based medium, like water-based markers, also alcohol markers, which is the next example, I do find it can reactivate some of the paints. So just be aware of that, but I still think it looks really cool. And so this one, these are by the Illustrator Pencil Butter. This is PDF, collection of her PDFs. So this one I actually did paint around specifically and avoided the background, so that one's just pure background. But you can also work on top with alcohol markers, and again you're going to get that texture coming through. So on this one here, which again, this is another sneak peek for the month, this is citrus, and I was thinking lemon, lime and bitters, so I used the Gansai Tambi in the background in the orange green blend, with some iridescent green and pink, and the texture that comes through on top of the lemon limes makes it feel like this is literally like lemon, lime and bitters. That was my theme for the page. You are in the drink back here, so different form of water, but you know, water. And so yeah, you can work on top with alcohol markers. I used a very cheap alcohol marker that I didn't care too much about the nib of, and I was cleaning it off frequently because it did pick up a bit of the Gansai Tambi, and you know, attached it to the brush. Same with if you work on top of watercolors, but you can. And then the other thing, if you really want to block them out, is you can also use paint pens. So I have this one here, which is done with watercolors, and then I colored the seals on top with paint pens. And so yeah, that's just watercolor and shimmery watercolor, and then acrylic paint pens for on there. And while it's not a water friend, nothing saying you can't just use acrylic paints on top as well, and that will also cover up the background. So again, you could mask out if you wanted to. I'm not going to mask out here. I used watercolor and the iridescent watercolor in the background, and then because it was sheer and left the lines, I could go in and then I painted on top with acrylic paints. So yeah, just a quick background idea, nothing exciting. Well, I think it's exciting. It's not original. This has been done for years, but yeah, I just hope this encourages you to play around with some water mediums to fill out those backgrounds, and then just have some fun and play around with some pages. And yeah, hopefully it will help you coming into this MERMAY to do lots and lots of water friends. And yeah, I don't know. Let me know. I don't often film tutorials because words are hard, and I don't know if I've even been effective in all of this. But yeah, I'm now going to go and finish off a bunch of pages that I have based, because I have like 4 alone in these books, and then I've got 9 or so more books around because I did even more basing to colour in. But you can see with the background's done, it doesn't take long. Yeah, it's been wonderful to have you here today. All the araha to you all. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!